versus Celtics today at work. That game was absolutely insane. I've been watching a handful of Blazers games. Stuff like that, so these are just like different things I've noticed, little storylines, I suppose you could say, that I've noticed so far in the NBA season. This is by no way an exhaustive list. There's a ton of stuff here I've missed. These are things I've personally noticed. First up, the Cavs are cooking. You don't need me to tell you that. The Cavaliers are 15-1. They have the best record in the entire NBA. They're leading the Eastern Conference, and they just today had that close loss to the Boston Celtics, and that was a comeback for the Cavaliers. They were down big at one point in that game. Felt very winnable for them. Ultimately, I feel like the Boston Celtics will win the Eastern Conference. But this Cavaliers team looks very legit. Mobley and Allen, that 1-2 punch at the 4-5, the Twin Towers there, they are an absolutely just terrible duo to deal with. They combined for 20 rebounds per game on average and 3 blocks per game average. Like, you get past Allen and then you have Mobley waiting for you. It's just not fair, really. Donovan Mitchell, he's averaging 25.3 points per game. Allen is averaging 10.9 boards, and Garland has 7 assists per game. Garland has found a nice little role for himself on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like I said, I think ultimately Boston ends up at the top of the Eastern Conference, but this Cavaliers team is going to be legit in the playoffs. And the Eastern Conference is looking pretty weak overall outside of a handful of teams. Boston, the Cavaliers, maybe you had New York to that list. It hasn't been great so far. The Sixers are struggling. We'll get to that later. The Bucks, even though the Bucks are healthy, they're not good at all, I think. I think that window is closed for them. But the Cavs are cooking. But the Sixers are cooked. They're cooked, brother. The Sixers are 2-11. They have the worst record in the entire NBA. Joel Embiid has only played 3 games this season. He just missed a game in Miami. I believe it was due to an illness. They had a team meeting after the game. Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid, said, like, you set the tone, you set the culture, and you're not showing up to practice, you're coming in late, you're not watching film. Apparently Joel Embiid said that there's times where he doesn't really know what they're doing on the court. I don't know if that's more of an indictment on Embiid or the coaching staff. Maybe all of the above. Tyrese Maxey and Paul George have both only played 7 games, and it has to be said that Paul George signed until 2028, at which point he'll have a $56.5 million cap hit, averaging only 16.7 points per game. I was incredulous about that contract when he signed it. I thought that whoever gave Paul George big money this offseason was going to regret it. I don't know why any GM did it. But Daryl Morey did, and I think the signing of BG closed the championship window for the Sixers, at least in this current era. I could see some future where you have Maxey and McCain and some other pieces, but I think Embiid, I don't think they went on his timeline. Speaking of Jared McCain, 15.2 points per game. He has has been a bright spot for these struggling 76ers. And he looks up to the task. He comes in high energy, confident. I really like the way that he plays the game. LeBron is not slowing down. This man is turning 40 years old next month. The Lakers are 10-4. At the moment, I can't recall their exact position, but I think they're top 4 in the West. LeBron has not missed a single game this season. He is averaging 23.5 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and 9.4 assists. He had a season-high 39 against the Memphis Grizzlies, and again, I reiterate, this man is about to turn 40 years old. This Lakers team looks really good. Connect has had a nice little spot on that team, as I knew he would. LeBron and AD have both been healthy. They've had that good chemistry. I think D'Lo hasn't been as bad as he has been in recent years, but I'm not confident on that one. But LeBron isn't slowing down. Bronny was a sideshow. So much of this offseason, the talk was about Bronny. He played his first game with LeBron against Minnesota. They made this whole big deal out of it. Basically, immediately went to the G League after that. He has played a total of 5 NBA games, and in those 5 games scored a total of 4 points. Now, I think he's played for a combined, 12 minutes in those 5 games, to be fair. But not only was he struggling in the NBA, he has struggled in the G League. And he has this really weird contract thing going on in the G League where he's not on a two-way contract. He's on a fully guaranteed contract with the Lakers, but he's also on a fully guaranteed contract with the G League squad. He's only playing home games, and he actually just missed a game due to a sickness or something like that. And he's struggling in the G League as well, which does not bode well for his future. 5 points per game, 2.5 boards, 3 assists. It really feels like he knows that as soon as LeBron's out of the league, he's out of the league as well, so he's not really... I don't know if he's really passionate about basketball in a way that LeBron is. Imagine 18-year-old LeBron going to the G League. Do you know what 18-year-old LeBron would have done in the G League? It would probably be against the law. But it was such a big deal, and it just, at this point, it felt like such a weird sort of distraction that it's almost funny to think about how big of a deal it was at the start of the season. The Blazers are fun again. Speaking as a fan of the Portland Trail Blazers, we beat the Minnesota Timberwolves on back-to-back nights, beat the Atlanta Hawks. Against the Minnesota and Atlanta, Shaedon Sharpe had his 2 best games of the season. He had 33 against Minnesota, 32 against Atlanta. He's averaging 18 points per game, but it seems like Shaedon Sharpe is kind of realizing, oh, I'm the best player on the team, and he's starting to act like it. He's demanding the ball more, driving more, shooting more. And the interesting sort of snag with this whole thing is that the team looks better while DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons are out at the moment, injured. But it will be difficult to trade either of those guys due to their contract situation and the new CBA rules and all of that. I honestly don't think we can really trade them by the trade deadline. I think might have to wait for this offseason. Donovan Clingan has had an immediate impact as a rookie. His scoring isn't really there yet, but he's getting 5.6 boards and 2.1 blocks. averaging 16 minutes a game. He's had some pretty impressive blocks, and basically when he's on the floor, if he's camping down low in the paint, the other team basically isn't even trying to drive on him. So even if he isn't there blocking necessarily, his presence alone is forcing the team out to the perimeter, forcing them out to the mid-range. And Delano Banton, he got a little bit of run last season, but Chauncey now is using him in this closer role, where he's coming in towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, and basically coming off like a substitute in soccer, coming on at the 70th minute. It's really interesting. Basically letting him conserve all of his energy the entire game and then come in with fresh legs at the very end. It's been effective. Delano Banton has been really impressing me. He's getting 10.4 points, 2.4 assists, playing this sort of specialized role. He's big for a point guard. He's aggressive. He's not afraid to have the ball in his hands. Not afraid to put up shots, and if he misses, he keeps shooting, which sometimes can be frustrating, but it's good to have players with a short memory sometimes. Also, I don't have it listed here, but Scoot Henderson, his scoring is still a struggle for him, but his playmaking looks better, his defense looks better, and I feel like he has taken a step this year. The top 3 picks are struggling, so our top 3 picks from this most recent draft, Zachary Rizache is averaging 12 points, 3.8 boards, 1.4 assists in 26.4 minutes. I'm gonna be honest, I watched the entirety of that win against the Atlanta Hawks the other night, when the Blazers beat the Hawks, and I don't think I really noticed Zachary Rizache a single time in that game, but he did have a career-high 33 points against the Knicks. So Alex Sarr, he is averaging 9.8 points, 5.5 boards, 2.3 assists. He had a career-high 20 against Atlanta. He's averaging 25.5 minutes, and now out of the top 3, the guy that I thought might have the biggest initial impact coming out of the gate, he has struggled the most now. It's important to note he's playing the fewest minutes of any of these guys, and Houston has kind of been shockingly good this year. They started off a lot better than I think they were expected to, so he hasn't perhaps gotten the opportunity that he would have if they were not as good as they are currently. But Reed Shepherd is averaging 3.7 points, 1.3 boards, and 1.5 assists. He had a career-high 12 points against Chicago. And finally, Buddy Hield saved the Warriors. Buddy Hield, I remember a few years back, I don't even remember what he did, but so many people hated Buddy Hield. People just found him annoying. I don't know what it was. I never really hated the guy, but I know a lot of people seem to dislike him. They called him a chuck or whatever else. I think this is back when he was in Sacramento, I'm not sure. But the Warriors are now 10-3. They are leading the Western Conference. Buddy Hield has 16.9 points per game, 16.9 points per game, 8 3-point attempts per game, and is shooting 46% from 3. He has the best shooting splits of his career. And Buddy Hield is opening up Steph, and Steph has his highest assists average since 2019. And Draymond has his highest points per game since 2017. So obviously Klay Thompson over the last few years before being traded, he had been injured. And the few times he did play, he looked like a shell of his former self. Bringing in Buddy Hield is kind of just opened the game up, it feels like, or the Warriors, and they look like a monster this year, and the West feels fairly open. just some miscellaneous pieces. I didn't really deep dive on any of these topics, but just some things I've noticed. Minnesota should have run it back. I think they're like 7th in the Western Conference at the moment. They've had some struggles. Anthony Edwards is still having turnover issues. I don't think until the day I die I'll understand why they traded Karl Anthony Towns. They made it to the Western Conference final. Like, at that point, you should just run it back. I think that they'd have been right in the mix again this year. Russell Westbrook has found his role after being traded from the Thunder. He kind of bounced around all over the place. Public opinion really started to turn against him. But now in Denver, it seems like he's really kind of carved out a spot for himself, and it feels like he's thriving a bit in Denver. And finally, the Milwaukee Bucks are finally healthy, but it doesn't really seem to matter. Chris Middleton obviously is still hurt, but Dame and Giannis are both healthy. They're even having good games, but the Bucks are still losing. Bobby Portis has regressed heavily. Lopez has regressed, and a lot of the guys just... Gary Trent doesn't look that good. It just overall doesn't look like a great team. I think they should make the playoffs, but I don't think they're getting past the Celtics. I don't think if the Cavaliers are healthy, they'll get past them. Maybe even the Knicks, I think, would be better than them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a weird spot, and I feel like the vibes around that team are going to be really bad after this season. I don't know if Giannis would ever ask for a trade, but we'll see if Dame tries to get out again. Who knows? But anyways, just a short one today, guys. Just a few of my thoughts on this still very young NBA season. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, and I sure hope you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys.